Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bowie Police Department Town Hall meeting for District 3. I am Dwayne Preston, the Deputy Chief of Police with the City of Bowie Police Department. We appreciate you taking some time to share with us as we have some information to share with you, and we would like to hear from you about things of your concerns that are going on within your community. Before we jump into the PowerPoint presentation and information that we would like to share with you this evening, I want to take a moment to have the board and the panelists to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into the information for tonight. So first, it's my pleasure to turn it over to Councilman Buoy.
Thank you so much, Deputy Chief Preston. Let me just start by saying that this year has been another interesting year for the city of Bowie and for the country, really, in our state, as we continue the battle through the pandemic. And I know many families in District 3 have been facing hardships, whether that's from unemployment or actually having family members and loved ones, or yourself actually getting the COVID virus. But I want to just say that throughout this entire process, our Bowie Police Department has been vigilant and has worked hard and tireless through some of the challenges that you can imagine all of us face as we adapt to this new world that we're in. So I wanted to jump on here before my next community event and just say that I'm really proud of the work that Chief Nesky and Deputy Chief Preston are doing in leading our members of the Bowie Police Department. And then I also just want to give a broader kind of announcement and reminder, right? As we head into this holiday season, I want to remind folks to stay vigilant, right? We're seeing what's happening across the country in places like LA and even in Denver as well, where there's just an uptick of crime in the area. And look, I'm sympathetic in the sense that we understand that people across the state and across the country are struggling, but you guys should continue to stay vigilant. And I want to thank our Bowie Police Department for all the work that they do and continue to do for our community. So just wanted to come on really quick and say thank you guys on behalf of District 3. And, you know, it's always a pleasure to serve the people of this district. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We appreciate your support. Next will be Chief John Nesky. Chief.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Councilman, for the kind words. It's always been nice to have the support of council and have the engagement that we have with all of you. So thank you. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I want to just welcome everybody to the meeting. I appreciate you taking the time. Your time is one of the most valuable things you have, and I appreciate you sharing it with us. One of the things that we really want to do with this is to start that dialogue, establish that two-way communication that impact epitomizes. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but this whole goal, the goal of this is to find a way for us to get that feedback loop. Oftentimes our conversations are one way. You give us information, we go act on it. We put out information to you, but there's never a conversation or a circular motion to that where you know what happened if you give us a call for service and we go check it out. You don't know what the results are. You don't know what our efforts may be to address that issue. So we're looking for ways to improve that process. And in that spirit, I'm going to get out of the way and I'll be seeing you later.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Next will be Lieutenant Joseph Rose. Lieutenant.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. I'm Joe Rose, as the deputy mentioned, and I'm the commander of the patrol division.
Thank you, LT. And last but not least will be our Public Works Director, Mr. Jose Aldayuz.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you everybody for attending this very important town hall meeting that the Bowie Police Department is putting together. Be prepared to receive very important information. My role in this town hall is to talk a little bit about traffic calming measures. And so I'll be with you later on during the town hall meeting. Thanks.
Okay, so just before I jump into the PowerPoint, just a couple of points. We want this to be free flowing. The way in which you can, any questions that you would like for us to answer in the chat box, please put your questions in that chat box. And what we'll do is after the conclusion of both PowerPoint, short PowerPoint presentations that we have for you this evening, then we'll answer any questions that you all have for us. Okay, so we'll get started. Bowie Police Department has an authorized strength of 67 sworn police officers. So what does that really mean? 67 sounds like it's a lot of police officers for the entire city of Bowie, but the actual strength of the patrol officers that are assigned to patrol, which patrol the streets and handle calls for service, is really around 41. The other officers that make up that complement of 67, there's some vacancies that fall into that number. We have quite a number of officers that are either injured or on something other than a full duty staff or status. We also have members of our command staff, investigators, our community service unit, and some that have some administrative functions. So the actual officers that report to Lieutenant Rose, who's the commander of patrol, is around 41 officers. Now that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so it's not really as many as you think, but we put out the officers to patrol. Obviously the city is about almost 19 square miles. So there's a lot of roadways to cover and areas. So we do our very best to get to those areas while handling calls for service. But the way in which we can do a better job is getting feedback from you. So if you have a particular concern in your neighborhood or an area that you want us to keep an eye on, we'll share later in the PowerPoint the way in which for you to contact us, several ways actually to contact us, so we can make sure that we address your needs. As I mentioned, we have several vacancies, so that has created some challenges with staffing levels. If you've been paying attention to the national trend, law enforcement in general has come under some serious challenge or facing serious challenges as it relates to recruitment. So Chief Nesky will talk a little later in this PowerPoint about some of the incentives that we have, because we are hiring police officers, and we want to hire police officers that come from our community within the city, people that you all know. So I'm sure the chief will elaborate on that and tell you how you can help. So once we get to that, we'll have more information on recruiting. I'm going to now turn it over to Lieutenant Rose. He's going to talk to you a little bit about crime, what he sees, because he's the has firsthand knowledge, and he pretty much controls the deployment of our patrol officers and how they respond to those things. So Lieutenant Rose.
Thank you, Chief. You make me sound a little more important than I actually am. It's those men and women out in the street that really get the job done to the best of their abilities. So again, appreciate the time that you guys are taking to join us tonight. And this is one of our more densely populated districts. And with that, there's obviously more issues that come along with that. As you all know, we have the town center and the Gateway Shopping Center. We have other new developments that are coming along, the Melford project, and that's going to bring more people to our areas. But the biggest problem that we see throughout the entire city, for that matter, fact of the matter, is property crimes. And for this particular district, we see a great deal of theft from autos, and rim thefts, and airbag thefts. That seems to be the trend right now. We also see quite a few stolen autos throughout the entire city. With that, there's preventative measures that we would like to share with you all to help us try to deter some of these issues, mainly as far as the stolen autos are, key fobs. There are folks that will, for convenience sake, will leave their remote key fobs inside their cars, and that just invites trouble, allowing those that are out there looking to get themselves into some trouble. All they have to do is pull on the door handle, sit themselves in the car, and being that the remote is in there, they can start up the car and they could drive away. Other issues that we see are folks that they just don't lock their car for whatever reason. Maybe they forget. And in addition to that, they'll also leave valuable items inside. Again, inviting folks to come along and help themselves to those things. And we ask that you all be vigilant and diligent in this regard by taking your valuables out, or at least try to place them out of view. And as far as the key fobs go, we strongly suggest that you do not leave them inside the car. We do understand that it is convenient. It's great to be able to just jump right out, press on the brake and start the car. However, it is inviting trouble. And being that the colder weather is starting to approach an issue we haven't seen so far this year, but we tend to see it occur as the colder months arrive, is warm-ups. Folks will start their cars up without the remote keyless access. They'll, for those folks that have older cars that still use a key, they'll go out, start the car up, and leave the key inside the car, which again invites crime. Folks will come along, see the car unoccupied, and they'll jump in and leave with the vehicle. So we're just reminding everyone those are simple things that can help deter these type of incidents. As far as rim thefts go, we strongly suggest that you get rim locks. And again, to prevent the ease of access, don't leave the key for the rim lock inside your vehicle, because if they can gain access to the vehicle, and I know a lot of us tend to leave the key inside, the rim lock key inside the glove box. If they can find the key, they can gain access to those rims. And some of these guys, they're professional, really professional, and they're like a NASCAR pit crew. They can take all 4 rims in a matter of minutes and be on their way. So those are some simple measures that we're asking for you all to help us. And that leads us into the next slide, which is impact, which is an initiative that the department has started. It's an acronym: Information Matters, Police and Community Together. And the purpose of this is we've learned throughout the years that we've been working with the community in the city, is our best and most effective measures have always come by way of our partnership with the community. Either you all feeding us information, or us being at the right place at right time and being responsive to your requests. And the information that you all lead us towards gets us to where we really need to be, which is a safer and more productive community. So as the chief mentioned in his opener, we really do want to communicate with everyone. We really do want to open more dialogues. My personal belief is that we have some really good lines of communication already. However, we can always make them better. And with that said, I will pass it off to the next slide.
Okay, thank you, Lieutenant Rose. So quickly, you just want to, Lieutenant Rose said and shared a lot of great information about the crime that we're seeing. We're fortunate that as a city, we're not experiencing a significant amount of violent crime. It's mostly property crime. One of the last pieces as we enter this holiday season that we want to reiterate is package thefts. Many people shop online, whether it's Amazon or other online retailers, and you're getting those packages delivered to your porches. That creates a great opportunity for criminals to come and steal those packages off your porch. So I know that Chief Nesky did a video about how to prevent those things. Please check that video out on our social media pages and on the website. But let's try to make arrangements to get those packages either delivered to a neighbor. Some, if your job allows it, maybe have them delivered to your place of employment. But leaving them out on your porch for an extended amount of time is inviting someone to come and steal those packages. And we don't want you to be deprived of those things, as I'm sure many of them are gifts for family members coming up for this Christmas season. So one of the other purposes of holding these town hall meetings is to really increase and improve this partnership that we keep talking about through impact and working together with our community. And one of the things that we realize is that our ability to communicate with our community is fractured, and doesn't reach as many people that we would like for it to reach. And so we want to work to try to improve that by establishing volunteers. And that's why we broke down these town hall meetings to be held one in each councilmatic district. And we wanted to target the HOAs and the neighborhoods within each district to establish volunteers. And we're hopeful that we'll have someone that would like to volunteer for a particular neighborhood that will be our point of contact that we can push information to and receive information from you when you experience, if we have a crime spike or we have something that occurs, we want to be able to alert you as soon as possible. We also want to create a mechanism for you to share information back with us and our investigators as we're investigating incidents, as we're having community events and things of that sort. So you're in touch with what your police department is doing. We can share successes and things of that sort with you. We also want you to get to know your neighbors. I know that, we all are insulated. COVID has not helped with that, unfortunately. But we're in a time when, get out, let's meet our neighbors to the left and to the right across the street. The more we know our neighbors, the more we know the people that live within our communities, the visits or the vehicles that belong within those communities, that will help us to recognize the things that don't belong in your community. And then if you happen to see something that doesn't look right, we want to reiterate this. You can never call us too much. We want you to report suspicious activity. We want you to call us. That is why we are here. We are here to come out and to investigate things that don't look right. So, oftentimes we hear citizens say, oh, I didn't want to bother you. I didn't think it was that important. It's always important to us. And we want you to call us so we can come out. We'd rather it be nothing than it ends up being something and you didn't call. So if it's an emergency, where, your life is being threatened or you feel that it's a crime in progress or anything that's serious of that nature, the number to call is still 911. Okay. And when in doubt, if you're not sure, call 911. Okay. If it's something that, is you're reporting a crime, meaning a theft, unfortunately, if you become the victim of a theft or vandalism or something more minor in nature, or something that it's not necessarily an emergency, but you want us to come out and investigate, we have our own dispatchers. So we have a non-emergency number, and that number is the main number for the police department. It is 240-544-5700. Again, 240-544-5700. The staff 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Doesn't matter day or time, call that number. We get an officer out as quickly as we can to investigate your matter. Again, want to reiterate, please protect your property, help us to protect your property, lock your cars, please, and remove your valuables. Even when you're out shopping for those presents and you're in the shopping center, you go back to your car to drop off presents as you continue to shop, please don't leave them in plain view. We do have some increased patrols out there, patrolling the shopping centers, but we can't be everywhere at all times. So we're asking you to partner with us and be diligent in practicing those good shopping habits. And again, remove those key fobs from the vehicles because we don't want to see you get your car stolen. And I think we look forward to having hopefully a wonderful end of the year and into 2022, where we'll see less incidents of crime and more information that we'll be able to share. I'm going to now turn it over to Chief Neske. He's going to talk to you about some community events and resources that we have. Chief.
Thank you. Kind of piggybacking on Deputy Chief talking about protecting your property. One of the things that we encourage people is to purchase doorbell cameras. And to that end, the council approved funding for a $50 rebate for people who are within the city and purchase a doorbell camera. Doesn't have to be a certain brand. It could be Ring, it could be Vivint. I'm forgetting a bunch of others, but I'm sure there's more out there. The only caveat is it has to be used inside the city and it has to face outward. We don't want a camera that looks at your neighbor, your living room or your nursery. It has to be facing outward. That does two things. It not only helps let you know when someone's on your property or taking things off your car, depending on how wide your angle is. It can pick up if somebody's messing with your car or someone's on your porch. It also provides good evidentiary value after the fact. We've had a couple cases. We found video of a crime. After we start to investigate, we've been able to get tags, we've been able to get descriptions. It's been very useful. So please take advantage of the money that council approved for that. Another thing that we're looking at is we do our Citizens Academy. We have one that's graduating tomorrow. In fact, our last session, most current session. So please look online, sign up for that. You will find out what we do, how we do it, and more importantly, why we do it. Because oftentimes a lot of questions that people have are the why. They don't understand why we approach a vehicle in a certain way. They don't understand some of the tactics we may do. They don't understand the reasoning behind some of the things we do. So it's a great way to kind of come behind the curtain, get some good information. And you don't, I'll tell you right now, you don't have to like us to attend. You don't have to agree with us to attend. In fact, some of the best attendees have been people that were a little dubious about us. We want that communications. We want those hard, difficult conversations. We want those difficult questions so we can have that dialogue and that feedback. I can learn, we can learn from you, you can learn from us. We also have our Police Explorers, 14 to 20 age group. They were out last yesterday, helping out with our Shop with a Cop. They do a lot of other things. It's not, we're not building into robot police officers. If they want to come join the police department, that's awesome. But we're just teaching them about good community service, how to be a better citizen, how to serve your community. We also started doing something called Trading Places. It's where we get together with people and we trade places. They become the officer, we become the person that's having the interaction. And it's helpful for both of us because, again, we see where other people's minds are at. What we say that we think is totally innocuous can have a different meaning to somebody else who has a different viewpoint. So it helps us to exchange information. And again, helps you understand why we do some of the things we do. We also have an updated crime map. You'll see kind of in the background there. That's on our city website. That is a map created by the city. It's created by IT and our crime analyst, Bethany DeWright. And you can search it by geographical location. You can search it by crime type. It gives you an idea of what's really happening. Oftentimes, you'll get sucked into the social media swirl and you'll be looking at Nextdoor or something, and you'd think that Bowie is on fire, rolling down the hill at 1,000 miles an hour. When you actually look at the data, a lot of the things just aren't factual. They're second, third, fourth hand. I heard a guy that said a guy that knew a guy that once saw this. Well, this gets you the real information. As long as I'm talking about social media, that is not the place to report things. We want you to call the number and we want you to contact us. A group of 7 or 10 people chatting about it on social media doesn't get us out there to address the issue. So please, talk all you want, moan all you want on social media, but also give us the information so we can, again, get out there and take a look at it and give you the facts. And, we are very good about answering questions. Here's what happened. We responded in 1 minute. Oh man, we responded in 15 minutes because we are answering other calls for service in another area. We will tell you exactly what's going on. Let's get away from some of the disinformation that sometimes happen on these sites. We also have Alert Bowie. If you want to know what's going on a ad hoc basis, you can use that menu. You can have public works notifications, street closures, crime notifications, a whole bunch of different stuff that you can pick and choose on what you want to be notified and how you want to be notified. Of course, we have our Facebook, our Twitter, and we're also on those platforms. I try to do a chief chat monthly, try to give you an idea of what's going on, what we're looking at, what we're thinking of doing, and just try to have that conversation with you. And again, that's one-way communication. When we talked about impact, we want to turn that into two-way communication. But these are some of the ways that we try to get information out to you. Deputy Chief had alluded to some of our recruitment woes. City of Bowie is an amazing place to work. And the issue is nationally, the conversation surrounding law enforcement has not been favorable over the last year or year and a half. And it kind of pushes people away from the field. And we need to get away from that. And one of the things that we start to talk about is, how do we get good recruits? How do we recruit? How do we sell ourselves? And what we came up with is, okay, so we're not the most action-packed department around. We're not going to be jumping out of helicopters. We're not going to be rappelling off of buildings. What do we have that we're good at? What is our strength? And our strength is our community. So we tried to target that in our recruiting. So not only we do is signing bonuses up to $9,000, bare minimum of 3 and up to 9, depending on what you have, school college, military experience, other police experience. But we also are giving $500 for anybody who sends us a recruit that is hired and makes it out of the academy. We looked at this and we said, look, who knows best the qualities that they want in their officers? Who knows what kind of person that they want policing their community? The community does. So if you send us these people that you know are service-minded, they're fair, they're honest, they have integrity, they can de-escalate, they have great communication skills, send them to us and you get $500. That person might be laying on your couch watching TV right now. You don't know. Get that application in, send them to us. They make it through, they get hired, you get $500 and you get your couch back. It's a win-win for everybody. Again, City of Bowie is a great place. We have a defined pension under the state for the law enforcement officers. It's a 25-year pension. A defined benefit pension is getting harder and harder to come by. So that's a really good thing. We also have 3 triple time for holidays, which is kind of unheard of. So again, a lot of good things about working for the city. But the best thing about working in the city is the community. I'll keep coming back to that. It's a great place to work. They support us, but the community supports us as well. When you look at some of the other places that are struggling, that have a disconnect with the community, it makes it very hard to work. It makes it very hard to keep your head in the game and keep your heart in the game. We don't have that issue. So it's a great selling point, but we need to get the right people in, and we need to help us find those people. If you're not interested in being an officer, we also have openings in dispatch. Now, don't let the job description scare you off. We are training from scratch, so you don't have to have dispatching experience. So please, if you think that might be a career for you, they are the backbone of the department. They're the lifeline for the officers on the street and for the citizens calling in. So it's a very, very important job. Please think about signing up for that as well. And you can find all that on our website at cityofbowie.org.
Thank you, Chief. And so as we start to wrap up our part of the presentation, we talked about how to volunteer and also how to communicate with us. And so we have an email address that we would like you to send information to, and that's impact, IMPACT, at cityofbowie.org. Again, it's impact, IMPACT, at cityofbowie.org. And we're really interested in people that really want to help their community. They want to get involved. They want to help us to spread the word in terms of the things that are going on in the community. As we said, we want to not only share when a crime happens, we want to share the success stories. We want to share the events that we often engage in, the many ways in which we engage our community. Just yesterday, our community service unit, the chief and I, we were all out for Shop with a Cop. Is an annual event that we do where we provide gift cards. We like to usually go shopping with the children, pair it off with a police officer. But unfortunately, for the last 2 years, we haven't been able to do that because of COVID. But we were able to provide through generous donations, gift cards, to allow needy families to have a better Christmas. And there are many, many events that our police department engages in service to our community to really show that we are a part of this community, we care about this community, and it is not about enforcement. One of the things that we talk about all the time is that, we are not going to enforce our way into anything as it relates to bringing about quality of life for the community. Enforcement is a small piece of it, but it's really the community engagement, the positive community relationship that we have, and the information sharing that makes us successful. And so if you want to be part of that team, and we view you all as a force multiplier to help us, and the more people we have, the more eyes and ears that we have out there paying attention to what's going on in the community, the better the city of Bowie is going to be. So if that's you and you want to help, please send the email to impact@cityofbowie.org. Just indicate in that email that you would like to volunteer, what community that you live in. And what we will do is that after we conclude all of the town hall meetings, we will be reaching back out to you and let you know what the next steps will be. as we start to transition into 2022. So again, we thank you for the time that you all spent with us this evening. And after the presentation by Public Works, you'll have a great opportunity to ask your questions, and we will try to address all of those answers. Okay, now I'm going to turn the presentation over to our Public Works Director, Mr. Jose Aldayuz.
Okay, now, thank you. Can everybody see the presentation on the screen?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, thank you again. And pretty much, I have a short presentation that relates to the City of Bowie traffic calming policy. Many residents are interested in how the process worked. So I have a few slides to cover this topic. And well, for some reason, the screen is not. There it goes. Pretty much the outline is I'm going to tell you what is it and what are its objectives and what's the process to get a study done and how the city evaluates the results. And what is it? Pretty much is the combination of physical measures that reduce the negative effects of motor vehicle use and aim to alter driving bad behavior and improve conditions for non-motorized street users. Basically, your neighborhood. People are driving fast and they don't obey the speed limit. And so if your neighborhood has that type of a problem, then it is pretty good to contact us to do a traffic study. What are its objectives? And promote conditions that provide safe neighborhoods for motorists, bicyclists, pedestrians, and residents while maintaining access and services. Second is to improve the neighborhood livability by encouraging adherence to the speed limit. Foster a collaborative working relationship between neighborhood residents and city staff in the development of traffic calming measures. Another objective is integrate education, enforcement, and engineering. They're often as perceived or known as the 3 E's of traffic calming. The second to last is the efficiently use of public resources based on the need, because obviously many in the neighborhoods want to do that, and the process allows us to investigate if your neighborhood qualifies, or the street in your neighborhood qualifies for traffic calming measures, and periodically we evaluate the policy to ensure the goals are being met. Now, the process is pretty much simple and outlined in a document that Prince George County adopted in January 2008. In November, the Bowie City Council voted to adopt this traffic calming policies. And this is the next bullet is very important because our policy requires that all requests should come from the homeowners association. In the event that your neighborhood does not have a homeowners association, then the request should be made to your local council representative. The City of Bowie Department of Public Works will conduct a traffic engineering study to determine the severity of traffic problems on the street. And this is being done by a device that is pretty much a small device that it can be mounted on a light pole. And the device detects the traffic volumes and traffic speeds. And pretty much the study, after the data collection is done, does a point assignment based on 8 parameters. One is obviously the traffic volume, and you can get up to 30 points for that. The speed, people are not really obeying speed limits. That's a problem. And then the particular street can qualify up to 35 points. Traffic accidents, we look at the history, and if there are some accidents, then the street gets an additional 30 points. The fourth one is if there is an elementary school or playground on the street, and then that adds another 10 points. If it is a major pedestrian generator, a lot of people like to walk, jog, and different things, then you get 5 points. And the next one is lack of sidewalk. If you don't have sidewalks really to use, you get an additional 10 points. The next one is call it limited sight distance. As you know, streets have vertical and horizontal alignment sometimes. So they're in a curve, in a vertical curve or a horizontal curve. So if the limited sight distance is too small, then the street gets an additional 5 points. And if it is being used as a cut through traffic, then you get another 10 points. Now, how do we evaluate the results? Pretty much depending on number of points that you get based on the 8 parameters, if you have to have a minimum of 50 points to qualify for level 1 measures. And level 1 measures are on a special awareness program, special pavement markings, or signs, including speed limit signs. The special awareness program is something that requires participation from the citizens, because pretty much organize kind of a meeting with signs to slow down. We provide protective gear, like yellow vests that you can use, and above all, the concentration of the people has to be in a safe place. For level 2 measures, the street needs to have at least 60 points. And level 2 measures are one-way street, tour prohibitions, speed humps, traffic circles, roundabouts, semi-diverters, and traffic chokers. Last, level 3 measures, the street needs at least 80 points. And level 3 are diagonal diverters and full closures, so pretty much no traffic allowed. If you got any questions, you can ask right now. I'll give you a few minutes to, you can write my name and my contact information. I'm open. And one of the things that I like about this job is the interaction with the residents. I think that the City of Bowie has a very, very nice set of residents. And I started this job in September 7th. And every day is different, but every day I get to hear what residents need, and it is a special pleasure to pretty much make sure that residents get the assistance from my department that they should. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Jose. I appreciate that. And
No problem.
if you could just stop sharing your screen and then we'll go back to Q&As. So those are the two presentations that we have for you all this evening. We've only received one question thus far. So, we would like to think that we're doing a great job, but I would imagine that there are many more questions that you all may have out there for us that we can answer. So please put them in the chat box and we'll be more than happy to address it, whether it's for the police department or for our public works or anything actually related to the city. And we'll make sure that we get you the answer as best we can. So the first question that we have that we'll share is, does the city or the police department offer a safe space to meet purchasers for the purpose of delivering items sold online, such as furniture? The short answer is yes, but I'm gonna ask Chief Neske if he wouldn't mind to elaborate further. Chief?
Sure, we are a designated meetup spot. So we have the signs and everything, and if you're using Meetup, it should list us as a place to do your transaction. But that doesn't matter if you're doing Craigslist. I don't know if anyone still has Craigslist, but whatever online forum you're doing, yes, we can you can come down to the police station, park right outside our lobby. If it's during the daytime hours, you can use lobby. If it's not, you can knock to be let in or just be out there in front of the cameras. Never, ever meet at a shopping center or a park. We've had a few people that met in Allen Park or Allen Pond Park and were actually robbed. So please make sure that you take care of yourself. You use precautions. You never know who you're dealing with online. And a lot of times they are too good to be true deals because they're trying to sucker you into some place where they can take advantage of you. So please use our station.
Thank you, Chief. I'm going to prep Lieutenant Rose to elaborate further on this next question, and I will provide a short answer before giving it to him. But it said, I recently had an ATV vehicle come through my backyard and down my driveway. Has there been an increase in the use of these vehicles on roads in Bowie? The short answer again is yes, we've had a significant issue with not only ATVs, motorcycles, etc., off-road vehicles. We are somewhat limited by our pursuit policy. And so, we have tried to address this issue. We get numerous complaints from our residents about this. And this is just not an issue that is specific to the city of Bowie, but the entire region. There are significant challenges. If you paid attention to the news over the summer about these ATV and motorcycle rallies overtaking roadways, whether it's 95 or downtown DC or the National Harbor, you have all seen the havoc that they can create. But Lieutenant Rose can expound upon that, of what his officers are seeing on a daily basis and the efforts and steps they are taking to address this issue. Lieutenant Rose?
Thank you, Chief. Yes, just as the Deputy Chief had mentioned, there is an increase in ATVs and motorcycles and dirt bikes. We've seen it. We're not exempt from it. Unfortunately, these are young folks that are hopping on with this trend. It is a geographical issue. It's happening throughout the entire region, as we all have seen in the news. There are several that do reside in the city. The difficulty that we've been experiencing is tracking them down to where they live. If we could find out where they live, then we can make contact with them in that regard. However, we will, just for the safety purposes, we will not chase motorcycles or ATVs. We're not looking to see anyone get hurt for some traffic violations. So we're not chasing them. What we do is we try to partner again with our community to see if there's folks that will, someone's got to know them. So we try our best to utilize the in-car cameras in our vehicles to see if we can get still photos of them when we had some success with that in the past prior to COVID. However, now with COVID, they're all masking up and things of that sort. So it's become more challenging. However, we still try to capture still videos of them, and we try to disseminate it throughout the neighborhoods to see if anyone could let us know if it turns out to be a neighbor or someone that they know. So that way we can make contact and approach them and see if we can prevent it from occurring again. And again, just by way of being as visible as possible. That's a double-edged sword for us when it comes to these kind of things, because for the most part, they know that we will not chase us, and it becomes a taunting game for them. Our officers have experienced that, where they've been engulfed by riders when they're riding in large groups, trying to taunt the officer so that they will chase them, to provoke a chase, and we won't engage them in that regard. So it does become a double-edged sword when we try to be as vigilant and as visible as possible. So, but as far as from the citizen standpoint, the community standpoint, we ask for your help when we can get those still pictures, when we disseminate the information. If you know who they are, contact us, give us an idea where we need to go. And when you do see them, contact us. Generally, for the most part, when we do show up in an area, they will leave. So if they're in your neighborhood, or if they're doing some really unsafe and outlandish things, such as riding through backyards and things of that sort, contact us. And for the most part, like I said, when they do see us, they will leave the area.
Thank you, Lieutenant Rose. The next question is, I spend a lot of time sitting in my car while waiting for my daughter to finish up activities, a COVID reality. Can you talk about the safety of waiting in a car and tips to stay safe, given the uptick in carjackings? Briefly, I respond is that, as we mentioned earlier, we don't see a lot of violent crime, and carjackings is something that we would consider to be a violent crime. And the carjackings that we have experienced, in many cases, the victims and the perpetrators had some association. And so we kind of, we'll leave it at that. We don't see a lot of true victims as it relates to carjacking. So what I will say as it relates to your concern is be aware of your surroundings, park in well-lit areas if it's at nighttime. Try to, have someone else with you if possible. Pay attention, as we also say, keep your head on a swivel and pay attention to what's going on around you. Communicate where you are, where you're going, so that someone knows where you are. And those are the kind of things that, if something doesn't look right and you don't feel comfortable, move your vehicle somewhere else, circle back around, and then, if you have to continue to wait, do those kind of different things. But, we've been really fortunate in the city that we don't experience a whole lot of violent crime, and it's our prayer that we continue, with that trend. So the next question, and I'll ask the chief.
Could I add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead, LT.
Sorry to interrupt. Just I want to reiterate what the chief said. As far as it's property, it's a car. I understand that for some folks that could be everything, but it's not worth your life. And in the event that you do come across somewhere, maybe not in Bowie, anywhere for that matter, wherever you may go in your travels, the car, it's just property. There's insurance for that. Don't resist, because you don't know what's going through that particular person's mind at that time. You don't know how desperate they may be. So that's the best advice I would give is remember that. I mean, it may be very important to you, but it is still at the end of the day just property, and it's not worth getting injured over.
All right. Thank you, LT. The next question is, our Bowie Police Department does a great job, and thank you. So we appreciate that compliment. The question is, do we have a review board? If so, are there citizens of Bowie residents that are on that board? If not, would you consider that? So I'm going to ask Chief Neske to respond to that question. Chief.
Thank you. We were actually about maybe halfway through setting a board up. We had started to identify roles and scope of the board when the Maryland legislators put together House Bill 670. 670 is something that covered police discipline and accountability. A very wide sweeping bill. If you get a chance, take a look at it. But one of the pieces of that bill was that it did away with the law enforcement officers' Bill of Rights and put the discipline for police or for citizen complaints in the hands of a citizen charging committee. And the citizen charging committee is established at the county level. And not only will they be reviewing investigations for appropriate charges, there's also a separate accountability board that, again, is at the county level. An accountability board will be reviewing investigations and actions of the Citizen Charging Committee. So it actually made our review board kind of redundant and I won't say unnecessary, but redundant, and it's a duplication of effort. So the county is currently putting all their things together. The bill is slotted to come into effect next next July. So the county, Prince George's County, we're having meetings now. There's a work group to put it all together and figure out how this is going to work. There's still some legislative questions and some constitutional questions about the sovereignty of municipal employees and a county board enacting discipline that need to be worked out. But the framework is that the Citizen Charging Committee that would look at the investigations is on the county level, and the accountability board is also at the county level. I, for one, this is me speaking for me, is I don't like that method because honestly, and this is not going to sound flip, I don't mean to, I don't care what the county thinks about what we're doing. I care about what our citizens and our residents think about what we're doing. I don't care if somebody that lives, in Fairmont Heights or anywhere else thinks about us. I care about what my residents think about us. So I have some issues with that, but it is state statute, so we have to go with that. Now, there are ways to be heard, not just through us. There's also a public safety committee that is composed of residents that help with different things. They're not oversight, but they're partners with us. So we let them know what we're doing. We talk about strategic planning that we're doing, and we get feedback from them. So there is a role for you to play if you would like to attend those meetings. But as far as the official review board, there is not one, even though we started to build one. The state statute of House Bill 670 kind of wiped that out. That might change. I don't know what's going to happen next session, if they're going to tweak it, but as it is right now, we kind of shelved it.
Okay, and thank you, Chief. And Chief mentioned the Public Safety Committee. That committee meets the fourth Wednesday of every month. There will not be a meeting this month of December as people are celebrating the holiday. We will resume again in January. Those meetings run from 7:30 p.m. to about 9 p.m. The fourth Wednesday of every month. Go to the website for more information on how to join. Right now, we're holding those meetings virtually. And while we're on that topic of accountability, I also want to invite everyone to go to our website. We produce an annual report every single year. And a lot of the information on crime statistics, the community events that we do, the awards the officers have received, but also the investigations and discipline that has been administered. All of that information is public information that's contained in our annual report and is listed on the website. You will be surprised that the majority of the discipline that our officers have received was actually stuff that was initiated internally and not from the result of an external complaint from a community member. We take great pride in that and holding ourselves accountable. And we make sure that, that our officers understand what our expectation is of them as it relates to the service that we provide to the community, because we're going to be our biggest critics, and that's how we've always wanted to be. So if you have any questions around that, if you have an opportunity to look at that report, feel free to reach out to us and we'll address those. The next question is regarding safeguarding property and cars. Is it a risk to lock your purse in your trunk? Can thieves burst into your car trunk? One thing I do occasionally when I go to the gym is I don't want anything, I want to carry anything inside, too hurried to use the locker room, lock my purse in the trunk. The short answer is yes, it is safe to lock your vehicle in your trunk. However, some vehicles are equipped with a trunk releasing mechanism that can operate without power to the vehicle. If your vehicle is of that type, there should be a way to lock that. You may need to make sure that you engage that, but the safest place for your vehicle is going to be in the trunk if you're going to secure valuables there. We do not recommend that you take them inside of a gym or a fitness center and put them in the lockers. We've experienced several thefts from the lockers inside of the gyms. So that is not a place where you want to store your valuables. So as much as possible, store your things inside your vehicle and lock them in a secure place. Or if you're just running to the gym from home, leave the majority of your valuables at home, take your ID and the minimum things that you need to take with you. Therefore, you don't have those valuables in your possession. Okay. All right. Any other questions? I don't see any in the Q&A right now, but if anyone else has any questions, please submit your question. And we want to provide those answers as much as we possibly can. Out of respect for your time, if there aren't any questions, again, we appreciate you spending the time with us this evening. We want to respect everyone's time, and we look hopefully to continue the partnership with you. The one thing I think that the chief usually mentions this, and I'm gonna ask him to elaborate more on it, is how best to reach you. That's one of the conversations we've really been trying to have, is the best way to communicate with our community. We really, really want to seek information on that. So Chief, you want to discuss that?
Certainly. One of the things that we're finding is, you know, if you're old like me, the minute you get onto a social media platform, the younger generation is jumping off. So there are so many different ways to communicate. There's so many different platforms, and we don't have the bandwidth to participate in all of them. So we need to find out the best way to communicate with you, whether it's social media, whether it's you're going to check the website. A lot of people do a lot of different things, especially with social media the way it is right now. You know, there's so much negativity on it. Some people have just jumped off of it completely and given up on it. So one of the things I'm going to ask you to do is use that impact email address to give us some suggestions on the best way to reach you. We want to make sure that we can get a hold of you. I mean, some people have HOAs. A lot of people don't. The older sections of Bowie, the Levitt sections of Bowie don't have HOAs. So we need to find a way to get a hold of people, be it loose neighborhood associations, whatever format that we are missing. We need to make sure that we know about it so we can try to utilize it and get as much information as we can to you. Because again, the more information we get you, the more information you get us, the better off we're all going to be.
Thank you, Chief. Did receive a question. It says, when a call is taken by the Bowie Police Department, what is done to handle the request, such as the case of a parent who feels their adult child has become in need of mental support? What steps are taken? Who assists and accompany the individual to get the help? What help would they receive? So what I would say is that dealing with individuals that are in need of assistance, that are suffering from a mental challenge or mental health episode, is one of the most challenging things that we do in our profession. And I think the chief and all of us here would agree that it is not our preference to be the one solely responsible for handling those types of calls for service. While we are always available and will always respond because we are here, we are really not equipped and trained enough to really provide the type of support that is needed by someone suffering with a mental health issue. However, in many cases, the only thing really at our disposal is that we will do what we call, if someone's a danger to themselves or others, is a emergency psychiatric commitment, where we take them to a local hospital for evaluation by a doctor. That is generally the extent of what we can do. The county does have some limited resources that are available for the entirety of Prince George's County, where there is a team of civilians that are mental health professionals that can come and provide assistance for these types of calls for services. However, that resource is extremely limited. And again, they're trying to support the entire Prince George's County jurisdiction, which makes it very difficult and timely for them to respond. So we've been having discussions with all our law enforcement partners, to include our state's attorneys and others, because we realize that no one really has a great answer on how to deal with individuals in need of mental health support. And so we're trying to find the answer to that. If there are individuals out here in our community, here in the city, that have experience in that field, that has some suggestions and things of that sort, we would like to hear from you, because one of the things that we want to do is provide services. One of the things I say often is that someone suffering from a mental health episode is in need of help too. And so they may not be aware of the things that they're doing. So in many ways, they're a victim themselves. So we want to make sure that we try to provide that help in a safe way, that no one gets hurt or injured in that encounter, and we protect everyone that's involved. So that's something that is of utmost concern.
Deputy Chief, if I could just jump in for a moment as well.
Sure, Chief.
And one of the things that, given the pandemic, given the isolation, there's a huge increase in the need for mental health support. We're seeing it all over the place. You're seeing it with kids that are returning to school, that, the social skills have deteriorated. But when you look at also the longer side, the other flip side of this is the caregivers themselves. One of the things that we find when we start to respond to some of these calls is that it's also the caretaker that needs some help. So if you're not familiar with the NAMI group, it's a support system for people who are caretakers for people with mental illness and or addicts, anything of that nature. It gives them some support that they greatly need and helps them not only with resources for themselves, but gives them strategies on what to do when their loved one is in crisis.
Okay. All right. Just one follow-up question about the thefts from the lockers inside of gymnasiums. And the citizen was asking, were these padlock lockers or unsecured? We've seen both. So, there are times when, people have cut the locks on lockers that have padlocks, but most cases, most of the lockers are unsecured, which makes easy access for someone that would like to steal the valuables inside of those lockers. So I'm going to go around the horn real quick with the panelists for some closing remarks, as I don't have any additional questions from you all. And again, we just want to say thank you again for your time spending with us this evening. So Chief Nesky.
I have nothing further, but again, thank you very much. We do appreciate that. One of the things that I've been here since the beginning in 2006. It's been a partnership from day one. It will continue to be a partnership, and you have a huge seat at the table, and we do love it when you come out and speak to us.
Thank you, Chief. Lieutenant Rose.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Really appreciate all your support. Don't hesitate to call us. As the Deputy Chief mentioned earlier, when in doubt, call. It's no harm for us to come out. In fact, we'll be glad to do it. And have a happy holiday, everyone.
Thank you, Lieutenant Rose. Mr. Aldayuz.
I don't have anything else, but say thank you for being here, and hopefully we'll have another town hall meeting in this district again.
So good night to everyone. We wish happy and safe holidays. We love to spend some more time with you, so please volunteer, send us an email so we can follow up with you and stay in touch. Take care. Have a great night.